Hey there, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hello.
Hello, hi, I am Arjun. Am I talking to Kunal?
Yeah. Hi, nice to meet you, Arjun.
Hey, nice to meet you as well, Kunal. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Yeah.
All right, have you done one of these practice sessions before?
No, this is my first time. My
All right,
friend
fine.
recommended me to do it.
All right, so yes, what I'm going to do then is give you a quick overview of how this works, and then we'll jump straight into the practice. All right,
All right.
so long story short, this is going to be a shorter than usual session because that's what you requested. We're going to focus on an estimation question for a Google interview. I'm going to spend the first 25-ish minutes going through the question with you. I'll keep the last couple of minutes for feedback. And after the session, you'll also get some written feedback. I'm going to be typing pretty much nonstop throughout this interview, so don't let the keys distract you. And if at any point anything that I ask is unclear, then I recommend you clarify it there and then. All right?
All right.
All
Cool.
right, so let's start off with this. Let's say you are the product manager of a new division in Google, um, and you're replacing an outgoing product manager who's responsible for self-driving cars. The first task you're asked to do is to reevaluate the potential. So you have to estimate the market size of self-driving cars, and you have to estimate what this would look like in 2025. How would you go about doing this?
All right. Cool. So I have few questions which I'd like to clarify.
All right, go ahead.
So we are going to focus on the consumer markets, or all the self-driving tech will be out there in different trucks and all those things.
So for this question, let's assume we're only going to concentrate on the end consumers who are going to use it for themselves. So we're not talking corporates, we're not talking freight, we're just targeting personal transport.
All right, good. And would we be focusing on just the US market, or are we going out from there as well, going global in that sense?
I think we can start with the US.
All right, cool. And what is the level of automation in the self-driving tech we are looking for?
So it's 2025. Let's say it's reasonably advanced. Like the average consumer would definitely see a lot of value over the traditional car. It might not be perfect just yet. It's 5 years out, but it should be much more advanced than what we have today.
Sure. So we'll just consider it as level 4, considering it will be more likely there. So the car will be having, so the driver will have to take control only in certain conditions.
Yes, I'm impressed to know what level 4 means. Yes, let's say only in the harshest
Only
conditions.
the harshest
A
conditions,
driver
whether
won't need
it's
to.
bad,
Yes,
or weather is bad, or there are unmarked roads or something like that, or the situation is pretty bad.
yes. Let's assume that.
All right, cool. All right. So first I'll need to, so this I will go about it. So first I'll need to calculate the number of cars which will sold in 2025.
Just go free flow as you're thinking. Share your thoughts.
All right. Let me do a few calculations if you don't mind. I'll just take a bit.
Yeah, of course.
Sure.
But I'd recommend keep sharing your thoughts out. There's no wrong answer here. I care about the approach and I care very much about how you attack this problem.
Yeah,
So,
I'll just note down what I'm thinking in a minute, and I'll just let you. So this is all go in attacking this problem. So the population of US is about 300 million, and out of, if we consider a family of three members on an average, so there are 100 million families, and then
alright.
but I'll consider 20% of them as the highest paying category, or the business, or the people with the highest money. So and they will having two cars, so that will be around 40 million cars with them. 40% with people who are below level income but in the middle level income, and they'll be having one car with them, so that will be 40, so that leaves with more 40 million cars. And the last family where you will say like 40% who don't have a car, or are they fine with not having car or something. So total we have 80 million cars on an average, and considering uh, every one of them buys a car in 10 or 8 years or so, so we can just consider like 1/10 of will buy a car in a year, so that will just brings down to 8 million cars a year.
All right, fine.
All right.
So you're saying we'll be doing 8 million cars, 8 million self-driving cars here, or 8 million total cars?
8 million total cars, which will be including
All
from
right.
premium as well as, because they'll be changing one car in a year, so that brings us to 20 million cars from their side, which is
Yeah.
approximately 2 million cars, and it will go with the same on the 4 million cars on the side. So yeah, sorry, the total number of car we can consider as 6 million rather than 8
All right.
million. So
Okay.
we have 6 million cars every year, which will be going to be sold.
Mhm.
So in the premiums, and I think in this segment which are going in, so the track will be relatively new, and only the people who needs to save their time will, and who want to who want to do more when they're in cars. So those people will be only buying this car in 2025.
All
So
right.
so we can say like 20 million, so 2 million cars just sold in premium category.
So, Kunal, there's one quick clarification I want to make.
Yeah.
Going back to an earlier part of your question, you mentioned you have 20% categorized as high income, 40% is middle income, and 40% is low income,
Yeah.
right? What happened to the low income ones, just to keep up?
Yeah, so the low income ones, I think with the kind of price tag or they're coming, so they won't be preferring to buy those cars at that point.
All right, fine. So we
So
are
they
assuming
don't
zero
come
there.
under
And
consumer
for the
category at
high,
that point. Yeah,
oh, understood. And when it comes to the highest income ones, you've categorized, you'd say 20% as high income.
yeah,
And you've said that on average they would have 2 cars per household,
yeah, right.
which leads to about 40 million cars, right?
Yeah,
Or
40 million
4 million.
cars. And I think I just assume that they will be changing one car only in a year.
Yeah,
And out
yeah.
of which only 1/10 of the people will be changed. So there will be 20 million cars to be changed, but only 1/10 of them will change. So that brings down to 2 million cars a year.
But this is the part I'm getting mixed up about. Is your baseline 20 million or 40 million?
It's 2 million.
No, but you said 20% is the highest paying income and each of them have 2 cars. So that turns
Yeah,
your baseline to 40 million, right? Or
right.
am I missing something in the math?
40 million. All right. So the baseline is 40 million, but they'll be changing one car a year, not
Yes. Ah, okay, okay, okay. They have 2 cars, but they'll be changing 1 car.
right. So that brings our
All right.
baseline to 2
Okay.
million. And then out
Okay.
of which only 40%, which I think with so out of which 40% only will be opting for, we can say, for the more. Okay, we just need to market the SSI. So we'll add 2 million cars which can go in this self automation category at that point.
All
And
right. Okay.
and when we go to the middle income sector, so some of them, so let's say 10% of the people will be interested in buying a more high and more premium car because of
Mhm.
just the age factor, which
Yeah.
which will come in. So we can say out of 40 million cars, which gonna say, and say ki only same calculation that one car, so they'll be changing one car in 10 years. So let's say we have 4 million cars which need to be changed in the middle income sector, and out of which
Yeah.
10%
Okay.
people are interested in buying car from a more premium car with the self autonomous tech. So that
All
leaves
right.
with around 400k cars from that sector. So the
All
number
right.
will come down to around 2.4 k 2.4 million cars which can be sold in the
Mhm.
premium segment in that year.
All right. Got it.
So we have,
So is,
yeah,
yeah, go on.
and we'll just normalize it to 2.5 million to make our calculation easy. Yeah.
So your final conclusion is that in 2025 we should be selling 2.5 million
Yeah,
self-driving cars. All right.
yeah,
Um,
that's the market size at that moment. So so there will be potential 2.5 million customers who will be willing to buy, or who will be looking for a premium car to buy.
okay. Okay.
And
Um,
yeah,
very quickly, if you had to convert this into, say, a revenue opportunity, a total volume of sales, uh,
yeah.
how would you do that?
Yeah, so generally the premium segment category in US will lie about more or less above 50,000 US dollars. And let's say we price our car at around 60,000 dollars. So that will be around 15 billion USD. Yeah.
All right. And does that sound high, low, given what you know of car sales?
So I think that's really outrageous in a way, because I think coming to 2025, I think only some companies will be able to deliver this on the tech. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's definitely very high, saying to. So that's outrageous by, I can say, around two times. So
Mhm.
two or three times, yeah.
All right, fine. And to size it more accurately, which assumption do you think gave you a higher number than what you ended up coming up with?
So first of all, like the number of cars which are going to be changed. So the number which we started of 6 million cars is really long, because the sales have been declining of cars since then. And the I think the last year something we sold around 5 million cars in US.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
and the number is gonna decrease over time, which is the trend in overall. So instead, because people are more preferring on the Ubers and the other stuff, so yeah, people tend to buy less. So that's where we think we consider the number very large.
All right. Uh, cool. That's actually all the questions I had. What I'm going to do next is give you feedback on how you did. I'll only spend a couple of minutes doing this, and after that, I'll give you much more detailed written feedback. But for overall, I thought you had all the right elements. You went through the breakdown in a logical way. I thought you covered a lot of good factors that a lot of people end up missing as well. Things like dividing your target market into income categories, things like dividing how many, the renewal rate or the refresh rate, the frequency at which people buy cars. So that was all well done. In terms of constructive, there are just two or three points that are advice. A, when a question like this comes up, also worth pointing out is that your clarifications were excellent and on point and very relevant, because they could conceivably have changed your entire answer depending on what you got from me. So well done on that front.
Thanks.
Constructive feedback. I'd say after you're done with your clarifications, as you try to do, take the time, take a couple of seconds to structure your thoughts so that you can signpost it to your expert, or in this case, but an interviewer in a real context upfront, so that it makes it easy for them to follow. So, for instance, what I might have done in this interview or in this question is to say that, all right, I've given it some thought. The approach I'm going to take is to take the overall population of the US, break it down into the number that is actually likely to purchase a self-driving car, and then use that as the baseline for how many cars I anticipate selling every year. So that way I know the path you're going to take. You did effectively do this. You just didn't signpost. So I was constantly wondering where you're going with
Yeah.
households, then premium segment versus middle income segment versus lower segment. And I think it'll also make it easier for you to keep track of where the question is moving towards by doing this, because you had all the elements in your head, but I could notice that sometimes you would skip it, and you can't assume that your interviewer would get it. So, for
Yeah.
instance, either I missed or you missed talking about the lower income segment entirely, and I think mentally you would uh, decided that they are a negligible source for something, a product like this, but then that is exactly your opportunity to clarify with your interviewer and ask, hey, I'm going to assume that the bottom 30% are not going to be either interested or be able to afford a self-driving car. So I'm going to assume sales in this segment will be zero. Is that all right? And that lets you come across as someone who tries to validate their assumptions as well. All right. Similarly, for the rich bracket, where you said they have an average of 2 cars per household, fair assumption, but I kind of got lost when you tried to convert that into how many sales you'd have in that segment every year. I'm still not 100% sure what you did, although you did try to explain it. So, in moments like this, it's totally okay to slow down, ask your interviewer what they aren't understanding, and explain it. Of course, in a real interview, you might even have an opportunity to whiteboard, but given how a lot of interviews are virtual right now, you might not. So you have to rely upon just articulating it accurately. All right. Finally, when it comes down to the final estimation, this is something that throws a lot of people off because there are so many zeros that it's very easy to lose track of. Is it a billion? Is it 10 billion? Is it 100 billion? I think if you choose to multiply your number with 60,000, like 2.4 million with 60,000, you'll come closer to 144 billion. But this is just something to check because this is something easy to get wrong. Again, it's better to take the time and flag upfront that all right, zeros always throw me off, so I'm going to take a few seconds to get this right, then shoot an answer out and then have to correct yourself later. All right. So hiccups on math, everyone knows they happen to everyone, but it's better to then acknowledge that they happen and take your time to get it right because frankly, there's no rush. All right. Finally, one thing you did particularly well is at the end when I asked you, does this number seem high or low? You actually tried to course correct and you evaluated it against your own knowledge and numbers that you were familiar with. And you actually came up with a reason for why your number might be off as well. That is good because it makes your approach a little more robust. So I would encourage you to keep doing that. And in fact, by all means, feel free to do that proactively as well. So for instance, if you say, okay, I'm assuming I'm doing a turnover of 6 million or 8 million cars per year, it's perfectly okay to ask the interviewer, does that number sound about right? Or is there any course correction I need to do at this stage? Because then that gives them an opportunity to move you into the direction where they think or they need you to go. All right. Overall, on the back of this interview, for this type of question, I think you're in the midpoint between higher, no higher. I would lean towards higher myself, but it could go either way with different interviewers. So I suggest try giving this kind of question a little bit more practice. And I think you've got all the thoughts in there. Now it's just about articulating them in the most effective way possible.
All right. Sure.
All right.
Thanks a lot for taking time out, Arjun.
No worries. No worries at all. Kunal, best of luck for your interview. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, please subscribe. Our website is prepfully.com. We've got lots of interview questions there. You can also schedule a mock interview with one of our experts. You can find the link in the description below. All the best from us at Prep Fully, and we hope you totally rock your interview.